welcome to another 80s golden age of comedy. My name is Bruce Starr. I'm the host of your show, and I'm just thrilled to bring you some of the biggest and brightest talents from the 80s, many times starting in the 70s and going off into the 90s. And every once in a while, I find someone who got started in the 60s that has had a lengthy and successful career in show business. So today, I have on a gentleman that you may not know his name necessarily, but you've seen that face in shows like Friends and Seinfeld, and we're going to find out more. I want to invite Larry Hankin. Welcome to the show, Larry. So glad to have you.
Oh, thank you, Bruce. I'm pretty happy to be here. Anywhere. I'm happy to be anywhere. Great. I'm happy to be anybody's guest.
I'm glad to hear that. So, Larry, you have been in the business. You know what? I want to hear
all my life.
Rather from me, I want to hear it from you. Tell me about when you were born, where you were born, and what was your family life like, and did that contribute to you wanting to be in comedy and show business?
No, it just, my family life just made me want to run away is basically what started me in show business. Just get out of here. And so I did everything. I was a good kid. I had not a good family life. It was very passive aggressive. I didn't get along with my father at all. I mean, so that started but I think I was just born to be a storyteller. I mean, I remember sitting on my mom's the bed in the morning or when I came home from school, wherever she was in the kitchen, and I would just tell her my day. And she's a good listener, man. But she seemed to be amused or interested in what I was saying. So that had nothing to do. It just, I had somebody to talk to. That after school. I mean, I'm talking about like 5 or 6 or 7 years old. That's where it started. I never got along with my father, and so the leaving was against him. I mean, he was just not a good dad. So, but
where were you born? Where were you born, Larry?
I was born in Manhattan General Hospital in Manhattan, New York. And we lived in Queens, and then we moved at a very early age to Far Rockaway. That's where I grew up. Far Rockaway, public school, high school, went away to college, Syracuse University. I was a good kid, even though I never got along with my family. And it just started to deteriorate. As I got older, it got deteriorated. The greens, when your mom cooks your, a meal, you got the meat, the potatoes, and the vegetables. Well, as I grew older, closer to going away to college, I noticed that the greens, the vegetables, the green vegetables, start to get grayer and grayer.
Oh.
So that was my this family life is not heading in a good direction. So I went to college because I didn't know what show business was. I mean, I grew up in a very bereft of intellectual curiosity. So there was nothing in the house, except they would buy these, the golden book of great literature, the sets, and Encyclopedias Britannica, and that was it. Then I had some maybe comic books I would bring into the house. So the only thing I had to read in the house was great literature and the Encyclopedia Britannica. That's what I grew up on reading. So I have a lot of trivial information in here that I found, that gathering thing that one has when you're reading it. You just remember it. You don't think you're remembering it. You go, oh yeah, that helped my comedy. But I started off very bad because I won funniest in high school 2 years in a row, my junior and senior year. So I thought I had it made. Okay, once I'm out of here. Once I'm out of high school, but I had one more accomplishment, one more challenge. It was college. They wanted me to go to college and become a doctor or a lawyer and take care of them. And my old age and their old age. Uh, not going to happen, never happened. So I graduated college as an industrial designer, which is the closest thing I could get to a lawyer, which is not close at all. But it had a ring of verisimilitude. And so they let me be an industrial design major because it was art. I liked art. Now, those are my two paintings there. See,
Oh,
I like
beautiful.
art. So
I noticed some before.
yeah, that was the draw to industrial design, just to get out of the house. I went to Syracuse, that was out of the house, but I didn't enjoy. I mean, I was a good student, but I would just hang around their drama department. You know, I was an A student, and then I'd be an F student, and I got kicked out of college. Then I begged to get back in because the wrath of my father was a great fear of mine. He was a wrathful person. He had a belt. Boom. So don't tell my father. Don't tell my father. So they let me back in, but within 4 months I got kicked out again. So I just had an attitude problem all my life, which makes for great comedians.
Yes.
It's great. So my best friend in college at Syracuse luckily happened to be Carl Gottlieb, who wrote many movies, including Jaws. So
Wow.
he said, he said that he was going to Greenwich Village after Syracuse, which is upstate New York. And I'm going to Greenwich Village and I'm going to become a writer, he said to me. And I said, where are you going? He said. And I said, well, I got a contract. Well, I got an offer to go to Detroit to design cars, future cars for General Motors at a really cool salary, man. You know, I think it was like $75,000 to start.
Back then. Wow.
Whoa, yeah, man. And he said, why don't you come to Greenwich Village, you know? And I thought, I don't want to be an industrial designer. There's no way I can be an industrial designer. I'm out. I'm out of the house. I've done my obligations. Let's go. So I went to Greenwich Village with Carl and moved into this, you know, flat, little. It was, I think, a bedroom and a half or something. I don't know. There was just a living room, a kitchen, and a bedroom, and we both slept in there. But he got a job immediately as a reviewer for newspapers in New York. Not the big newspapers, just neighborhood newspapers, little ones, you know.
Let me ask you: Did you have a feeling that he had extra talent or ambition that he could make it, or was it just another guy who happened to be a writer?
He was my best friend. That's all. And he happened to be a writer, but no, I had no, premonitions of show business or being an actor or a comedian or anything. I didn't want to be anything. I had no desire to be anything but who I was right now. That was it. I lived totally in the now. So we moved in there and he became a reviewer. So he was out of the house in the evenings a lot because he had to go review at least 3 movies a week. The lucky thing was that he reviewed, in those days, all the reviewers in New York reviewed the same movie at the same time. So if you were in a little backwater something in lower Manhattan newspaper, you reviewed the same movie with the Times and the Post and all the big ones and the magazines. So, and the rule was that if you go to these review things, these newspaper review things, they served you wine, you know, get you a little loose for the review. They served you a little hors d'oeuvres and bowls of the cold shrimp, you know, that
All right, now we're talking. I know where you're going with this.
Okay, and then you also had the damask napkins, no paper napkins back in the 60s. He would, and I was, what I was doing to pay my half of the rent was I was just swabbing duckboards behind a bar from 2 a.m. until 6 a.m, as opposed to being, you know, going to Detroit and designing cars. But I loved it. I loved it. There was no question. I never looked back. I loved it, but I didn't have anything to do. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to do this for the rest of my life, but I loved being independent, you know. I just didn't have enough. I had enough money for rent, but I didn't have enough money for food. So I was starving pretty much. So Carl would get a damask napkin at a review. He would take a big handful of shrimp, put it in a damask napkin, wrap it up, put it in his pocket. And that was my dinner. And he would be bringing me 3 times a week. He'd be bringing me cold shrimp for dinner. And I had to manage the rest of the day. Uh, and it was really great. And I saved all the damask napkins and I would be hanging up all over. They were all over the place. This is how many meals he was bringing me. And I just hung them up all over the place. And then one day he comes in, he says, all right, this is the last one. And he opens it up and that was it. And I said, why, man? He says, because my suit is starting to smell of fish. That's why. You only had one suit and you had to dress in suits in those days, you know, to review. So he pulled the rug out from under me. So I had to get a job now, a day job or something like that. And I got one job where I just worked for a day and then I quit. I couldn't do it. A cubbyhole job. And then so here's what happened. I discovered Monday night open mic nights, and that saved my life because I remembered I was a funny guy in high school, you know, so I can do that. And I would listen, you know, because I would hang around the coffee house at night. Carl was off reviewing movies and stuff. I don't make friends easy, you know. So I just would hang around the coffee house. I knew the waitresses, and that was cool. But I would always be there, and I would say, I can be better than these guys. So I got up I signed up. So I got up on a Monday night and no, it's not that easy, man.
No.
It's not that easy.
No.
You can make your friends laugh all you want.
Right.
It's not the same. It's a different gig, man.
Right.
So I would get up there and I would die, you know. But here's the thing that saved my life and why I kept doing it. Coffee house, Monday night coffee house, open mic nights are the greatest because totally forgivable. In other words, they don't boo because they know you got 3 to 5 minutes. Even if you're the worst comedian in the world, man, they'll just sit there and wait for the next guy. They know you're not going to be here for long. It's 3 minutes, 5 minutes the most.
Interesting.
So they would sit there with their coffee and wait for the next person. And most of them were just waiting for their friend, you know, to get up on the stage because you bring your friends.
Right.
So they didn't want to boo because it would kind of, you know, maybe the friend was next and it doesn't. So I could try out everything and not be, you know, get off the stage. That would come later. Cool. That was when you were professional. Get the fuck off the stage. Yeah, I had that. So, but that was when you're making money. Okay, so I learned my craft on Monday nights. I would just get up there and I would just do it, try new things. And then one day some guy would, you know, come up to me after I got off the stage. And he said, you have a manager or a representation of any sort? I go, no. He said, how would you like some representation? I said, yeah, that's why we're all here. Are you kidding? In other words, in Greenwich Village, in those days, if you got an agent or a manager, you were king shit, man.
Really?
You were king. That's why you were there. Not to be in show business, but to get a manager, to get representation.
Yeah.
That was all. So if somebody, you know, on a Monday night say, you know, I just got an agent, boom. Or he would just be gone. And then he would show up like on Saturday or Sunday to audition for the, you know, the real coffee house where you got paid $5 or something like that. So finally, I said, no. He says, well, how about me? How would you like me for an agent, manager? I said, okay, fine, great. He says, okay, you got a manager. And we shook hands. And he said, so I said, now what? He said, nothing, just keep going. I'll drop in every once in a while, check on you. But you got a manager. Anybody asks you got a manager. I said, okay. And I kept on doing Monday nights, and then I did a coffee house down the block, and then I was on a Friday, Saturday, and he would come around. He would stand in the back, and he'd watch, and he'd say, yeah, good set, nice, you know, and he would leave. I thought it was weird because I was figuring all the other guys who had agents and managers, they were friends of, you know, they were like friendly. They would talk on the phone. They would talk about business. No, he would just disappear, and he would come back. And then one day he said, I got your job. I said, really? Where? And he said, well, it's right around the corner, so you don't have to go anywhere. But it was #1 Fifth Avenue, which was a posh boiterie. I don't know what they call those. Tony Bistro. It was a nightclub, a real nightclub. And they had, they had an opening. The opening act was a singer, female singer, dressed in a, svelte thing with gloves, that kind of singer.
Nice.
And I was opening, and I was there for a week. Oh, and I didn't have, and you had to wear, because it was a nightclub.
Oh, yeah.
You had to have a tuxedo. You worked in a tuxedo. He said, you got a tuxedo? I said, no. Well, I don't even have a suit. So he said, okay, meet me at this place and I'll buy you a tuxedo. And he didn't even rent me one. He said, he bought me a tuxedo.
Wow.
What kind of manager is this? That's amazing.
A good kind.
I guess, but it just blew my mind because I didn't know any kind, So he bought me a tuxedo and I played. It was okay, but it was in the winter, and it was a hotel downtown right on the edge of Greenwich Village. So nobody came. I mean, and then I was doing Greenwich Village coffee house humor. So in the right spots down there, when the manager was watching, I was funny. I really was. But in a nightclub and a Tony Bistro, it was a different humor. It wasn't my crowd. Let's put it that way. So I would get, hey, boo, but not very nice, very, Tony.
Nice booze.
Nice booze. Very, 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 anyway, they were very nice. So I made it through the week, but now I was official, and he started booking me around in the village. And I was opening for like Woody Allen.
Whoa. And
one day my manager comes in and he goes right past me, hi, Larry. Right. And he goes over to Woody. And he's talking to Woody. And I said, oh, you know Woody? He says, yeah, I'm his manager.
Whoa.
You're Woody Allen's manager? Yeah. And my manager? Yeah. Wow, man, that's so cool. So from then on, and then that little speech, that little meeting in the upstairs at the downstairs was formidable for me, because that gave me the chutzpah to really get funny.
Yeah.
I mean, just the pride of having Woody Allen's manager. Whoa, man. Because, I was just kind of mentally hunched over and, well, I'm sorry, here. Let me just tell you my jokes. But I wasn't telling jokes. I was telling stories about my adventures during the day or whatever. I never wrote anything, ever did I ever put a pencil to paper.
Wow.
Or type anything out.
Wow.
I would just get up there, and I learned in the coffee houses, and it was good the rest of my life. I would get up, and I had something prepared in my head. Oh, I'll tell about this mosquito that I tried to kill the other day. And I would go up there, and if it wasn't, that was my set, 3 minutes, talking about a mosquito. But then I said, well, I would get a laugh or two. And the mosquito was a bad, dumb, but I would get enough laughs. So I thought, okay, I will hold that as my closer. Keep your good laughs, the big stuff, the big buffos for the finish. So I would use that. Save the mosquito thing for the end. I'm going to go up there and improvise with nothing prepared for the first 2 minutes. See how that goes. So I just blah, blah, blah for 2 minutes. And I got a couple of laughs. So I thought, wow, man. So I dropped the mosquito thing, moved that to the end as the closer for my 5 minutes. And I would bring another 2 minutes of just off the top of my head. And that's how I worked for the rest of my days and years as a stand-up. Wow. I then became from being funny and opening for Woody, and I was doing great, I would do just as good as Woody, and sometimes he would have his crowd and he would just kill, but I was doing fine. I was doing great. And I was his opener for about a year. And then he started, because we were booked together. But then I started getting booked alone to open for other acts. So I was opening for Miles Davis and the Kingston Trio and the Playboy Club and Ian and Sylvia and just big acts. And I would be the opener. And I was doing great. I was doing great money and stuff. But then I started to listen to, and I had been listening to, but never thought I could absorb it and get it into my vernacular. I was, I grew up on Lenny Bruce. I thought he was great, So, but nobody else did, but I did. I bought all his records and stuff. But then I started listening to Richie Pryor and George Carlin, and they were from the Coffee House thing. So I kind of knew them passing through in the Greenwich Village days. And then as I toured the United States opening for these big acts, I would meet them, like I'd meet Carlin or Pryor, and we would talk. And I remember you from you were from the Cock and Bull, or blah blah blah, Gertie's Folk City, or blah. So it was kind of I saw there was a huge, it was kind of club of these funny people who I started to get involved with, and learned. So, but then because of Lenny Bruce and Richie Pryor and George Carlin, I started to get into the critical thinking comedy. Mm-hmm. And that was a dividing line. So when I opened for the Kingston Trio in Jack's on the Highway outside of Boston in the middle of the winter, I'm doing my shtick, I'm doing my stuff, and get the fuck off the stage.
Ah,
what? That never happened before. What? I kept on going because I didn't have any heckler stoppers. I didn't do jokes. I was doing stories, and it never occurred to me that people wouldn't like my stories. So and I just continued on, and then he says, "Hey," and it's dark, and and all of a sudden, and this voice coming, "Hey, I said, get the fuck off the stage and bring on the Kingston Trio." And it was kind of an empty nightclub because of the snow. So I couldn't see anybody. It was just a dance floor. And then I just kept on going. And then I saw this guy come across the dance floor with a beer bottle upside down in his fist. And he said, as he's walking, he's saying, "I said, get the fuck off the stage."
Wow.
Okay, not my audience. Not my audience. Right. So I just got off the stage. So then the bartender comes over. He says, what are you doing here? I said, "Did you see that guy come at me with a beer bottle, man? He's gonna whack me." He said, "Yeah, I saw it. Get back on the stage." And the Kingston Trio isn't coming on in for 10 minutes. So I'm not getting back on the stage unless you get rid of that guy. He was gonna hit me, man. He said, where's the bouncer? That's what I want. He says, "I'm the bouncer. Get back on the stage." I said, "I'm not getting back on the stage unless you kick him out." He said, "If you don't get back on the stage, you're not getting paid. You're fired." I said, "Okay, I'm fired. Bye." And I just walked out. I mean, I don't take that crap. Right. I'd rather starve.
Right.
I would. And I have. Believe me, I have. So I just walked out. And then there was a snowstorm out there. So I had to come back in and borrow that. Can I use your phone? But those are the kind of stories I would tell, my adventures being a stand-up comedian, which was very funny. So, okay, I called my manager, and then I opened for the Love and Spoonful.
Oh, wow.
Right after that.
Wow.
Down in Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri, but it was kind of the same thing.
Oh.
What happened was I get out on the stage. They loved me. They thought I was really the cat's pajamas. They thought I was so fucking funny because I was doing I was doing sex, drugs, rock and roll humor, Lenny, Richie. So they opened, big arena. I don't know, 2,000-3,000 people.
Wow.
So I opened, but it was inside. It was indoors. I opened and I'm doing my clean stuff first. I hadn't ever written anything, but I was doing clean stuff that I remembered, And then I started to get, oh boy, this is a college crowd, sex, drugs, rock and roll. So I started to get into the critical thinking humor, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And boo, boo. Oh yeah, I was doing a God bit. I was talking about God and and penises and breasts. And boo, get off the stage, get off the stage. Same thing as Jack's on the Highway. What the hell? Boo, get off the stage, get off the stage. I go, so I stopped. I was just dumbfounded that this entire arena was going boo, boo, get off the stage.
Wow.
So I stopped. And then, so they stopped. So I just stood there, it's quiet. And then I go, okay. And I just continued on, boo, 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 boo. And I refused to stop. I just kept on going because I heard a couple of laughs. And the guys in the front were pulling off, you know, those wooden armrests in these old theaters, wooden armrests. It was pulling them off. If you push them forward, you can take them. And they were throwing them at me out on stage, you know, and I'm dodging and stuff like that. They're worse than a bottle, man. They're heavy, they're wood. And the 11 spoonfuls just keep going, keep going. And they're yelling, get off the stage, get off the stage. They wanted a riot. They wanted the publicity for the riot. So they're throwing them at me. And so I stopped. And again, they just stopped. And there was silence. And I'm looking at them and I go, what's wrong with you people? This is sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You're a collegiate crowd. This is a college. What the hell is wrong with you? And they just sat there quietly. And I said, okay. I'm going to just do clean stuff. Is that okay? And they go, yeah, okay. Big murmurs. Okay, I'm going to just do clean stuff. So I started doing clean stuff, and they listened, and they were laughing at the clean stuff, but I only had a finite amount, 10 minutes. So I got to the end of my clean stuff, and I just segued immediately into the sex, drugs, and rock and roll as if nothing happened, just like that. And as soon as I hit the word God, get off the stage, and I see the lights go on, and in the back, and no girls were throwing these. In the back, the guys in the back, who were way too far away to throw anything, were pulling off their armrests and passing them down to the guys in front who didn't have any more armrests anymore. Jeez. So they were passing them down. Now they were throwing like, and then in the middle of this, I'm yelling at them, but this is college. But this is college. And I see cops marching down the wall aisles, 10 cops on each side, marching down the road. They were waiting in the back for me to get dirty again. So they marched down, they marched up on the stage, and they just very gently, I don't think they even know why they were pulling me off the stage.
Oh my God.
Because they just came and say, all right, you got to get off the stage. Come on. And the guys, yeah, pull him off the stage. And so they just, put him on. And they took me backstage. It was nothing. It's empty backstage, just this curtain in front, you're performing in front of a curtain. So I get backstage and 18 cops split and 2 cops just stay by me, just standing there like this, the 3 of us in a row, just backstage. And I go, what are you doing now? What is happening now? I'm off the stage. What's going on? He says, we have instructions to stand by you until 11 Spoonful starts to play in case you run out there and start talking again. So we have to wait. So we waited there for like 10 minutes while the crew was setting up the band and everything like that. And as soon as the music started, and 11 Spoonful, and as they passed me, 11 Spoonful, the 2 cops, as they marched out to get to their instruments, they're going, you should have kept going, man. Oh, yeah, okay, but boom, okay. But, we were all friends, so we were traveling together. So they started to play, and then the cops said, okay, good luck, bye. And they split. See, because I think during the 10 minutes that I was clean, the dean who was in the back called the police just in case. So they came, that's what the 10 minutes was. They came during the 10 minutes and were waiting in the back until I got dirty. And then when I started getting dirty, the dean said, okay, take him off the stage. So the end of it, I'll just really quickly, we went to Northwestern, and when we arrived there and we were going to the elevator, 3 men stopped us. There was the 411 Spoonfuls, me, and 2 managers, that was theirs. And they stopped us, 3 men. A police sergeant, full uniform, the brimmed cap and the uniform. A priest, white thing, gray hair. And a gentleman in a suit with gray hair who's the dean of Northwestern University. And they said, they stopped us. They got in between the elevator and us, and they said, is there a Larry Hankin in this party? And there was a cop, a priest, and so the two managers who were really attuned because they knew what happened in Washington. They immediately got between us and these three guys, and they said, "Oh, what's this about?" And the dean stepped forward. He says, "We just got a phone call from Washington University, from the dean of Washington University. Said the 11 Spoonfuls have a filthy mouthed comedian opening for them. We are here to prevent that from happening."
Wow.
So the managers immediately turned to us and said, and they didn't mention a name, and they only pointed like this. They went, they go like this. They said, "All right, go upstairs to your rooms. Go into his room." They pointed to me. Just go into his room, lock the door, and don't let anybody in except us. Go. And then he turns around and they start talking. So we got in the elevator and went, "Wow, man, this is crazy, man." And wow, no, you got to do your act. You got to do your act. Don't do anything clean. They wanted a riot so bad. And I didn't know what to do, man. I had a career to think of. I'm thinking, well, no, I'm doing great, man. The cops, this is not good. I'm not Lenny Bruce. I don't know. So finally, they just convinced me, and I got fed up. And I said, "Oh, I'm going to do my act. I mean, I can't go through this. This is ridiculous." So there's a knock on the door, and they come in. The two managers say, "All right, here's the deal. They don't want you on the stage, Larry. You don't want you opening day." So, "Oh, no. You got to go on. He's got to go on." "Okay, so we made a deal. All right, you can go on, but only clean. As soon as you do anything dirty, concert's canceled. That's it. Okay, we're going to dinner. Goodbye." And then they just split and left it to us. So we're arguing. "Okay, what do we do? What do we do? Fuck it. We don't have to do the show. Fuck it. Okay, so all right, I'm doing the show. I'm doing my stuff. All right, great." We go out there, and "Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Hankin," boom, and I go out there and I do my entire show, and it was great. Nothing, less laughs, no interruptions, no cops, no deans, no nothing, and it was great. So, I mean, but I called my agent and I said, I called my manager, I'm sorry. Called my manager and I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm a middle-class Jewish kid and I'm not doing drugs yet. So how the hell are they taking me off? I'm not Lenny Bruce. I don't do drugs yet because I said, yeah, next year, give me a year. I'll be into it, but not now. So I didn't understand. I literally didn't understand it. I thought they were taking these guys off because of the drugs, but no, it's because of what they were saying, which, critical thinking. I didn't understand it. So I called my manager and said, "I can't do this anymore." So he said, "Okay, why don't you join Second City? They're doing the exact same thing as Lenny and Richie and George, but they own the theater. They'll throw the guy with the beer bottle out." I said, "Okay, that's what I'm doing." So I auditioned for Second City and I got in. Just coincidentally, I auditioned with Robin Williams, who also got in.
Nice.
He wasn't Robin Williams yet. I wasn't Larry Hankin yet, but we were. He still had the bib overalls, the white bib overalls, and the suspenders.
So who was already in the group that you noticed?
Alan Arkin, Severin Darden, Mina Kolb. So he said, "Join Second." So I joined Second City, and that's how I got into acting. I went to Chicago. They sent me to St. Louis. Funny, coincidentally, but to the Crystal Palace. The Landismans. They wrote songs and stuff. They were famous at that time. So and the Crystal Palace was a famous nightclub in St. Louis. So we, with a road company, Second City, and we were there. We went for a month and we were held over for 9 months. I mean,
wow.
we killed. And then Paul Sills came down to see what the hell was going on down there. You were supposed to, disappear after a month or two, or come back up. And we were there for 9 months. So he came down and he saw me and Jack Burns. So Jack Burns and me went up, and we were in the company, the stage company of Chicago, Second City. Jack Burns then left. We were let go. There were 9 people on the stage improvising. It's too many. 5 is the proper amount. 6 is already okay, but 7, no, you can't do it. So 9, Paul Sills had hired 9 people. 5 people from the original company and 4 just from companies that he had sent out and I was choosing. So he brought back me and Jack. Jack left and then wrote Hee Haw, the famous television show.
Nice. Nice.
Jack left and made a big success for himself as a writer. He invented it. He came up with the idea. I just hung around in Chicago starving. I was couch surfing because I was fired from, and I didn't want to go back to doing stand-up. So luckily, while I was couch surfing, this car comes by, stopped at I used to hang out at Second City because I had no place to go, had no money. So I couch surf and hang out in the evenings at Second City. And this car came by during a snowstorm. Said somebody came down to the bar downstairs, stage upstairs. Said, there's a car outside asking for Larry Hankin. Larry Hankin here? Me, yeah. Well, somebody out there went. So I go out there and there's this car, this station wagon. It's packed with about 7 adults and 2 kids. And there's luggage and stuff piled on the top with ropes. And a guy named Alan Meyerson, who I auditioned for Second City in New York, but I didn't remember him. But he said, I auditioned. It was kind of insulting. Who are you? I auditioned you. You got the job for Second City through me. I auditioned you. Okay, what? He says, well, why don't you jump in? We're going to San Francisco and we're going to start our own company.
Whoa.
And these were all ex-Second City people who got fired or people he picked up from Monday nights. I don't know.
Wow.
So I said, no, I'm not getting in that car. No, it's too many people. I don't know where you're going. It's a snowstorm. This is crazy. I'll see you. Send me a plane ticket. So he says, you're not coming? I said, no, man, I'll starve here. I'm going back to New York. I can start all over again. I don't. Goodbye. So they just pulled off in this snowstorm and son of a bitch. 2 weeks later, I got a plane ticket.
Wow.
So I flew out to San Francisco and it was beautiful.
Did you know anyone in that car?
Not a soul. I didn't know any of them. And then I didn't even know the 2 kids. I didn't know the luggage. I didn't know the car's model. I didn't know anything. So they drove out, got the plane ticket. I flew out because I had nothing going on. And as I'm coming in, we come through the clouds. And there's the San Francisco Bay and the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's green down there, and the sky is blue up here. And I thought, this is incredible, because it was snowing in New York. I thought, I like this. And I had bought a suit, a wash and wear brown suit. Because I didn't know, well, it was a theater. I don't know what was going on. So I land, and there's all 5 of them, 6. The company, the 5 actors, and Alan and me, 7 people back in the car. This is the same car that they were going to drive from. And we got back and they drove me to the theater. Well, the theater was being built, so I was going, it's not a theater. It's workmen nailing and painting, and it was an old Chinese bowling alley. It was a Chinese bowling alley. You can't get any more obscure than a Chinese bowling alley. And used to be, before that, a morgue.
Oh.
A morgue. And in the cellar were the morgue tables where they drained the blood.
Oh, my God.
It's a cement thing with drain aisles on the side. And
only in California could that.
Yeah, from a morgue to a Chinese bowling alley to an improv theater. So that was like freaky, man. It's really, this doesn't bode well. Well, it boded very well, actually. And we didn't, the only rule we had was 2 rules. Don't quit your day gig. We had no day gigs. We were, well, yes, we wanted 7 people. Alan wanted 7 people for the company. So we had 5, the 5 people in the car, me, and they were looking for another person, just in case. So they wanted 7 people. So the rule was, okay, don't quit your day gig. That was specifically for the guy from San Francisco who we hired. So don't quit your day gig. The rest of us didn't have any day gigs. It was this or nothing. So don't quit your day gig. And if there's more people in the audience than are on stage, we don't have to do a show. So that was for a year.
Wow.
We did that. And sometimes we would get, maybe 30 people. So, hey, man, it's almost a sellout. We had 500 seats. It's almost a sellout. 30 people. So we did that until we started getting crowds. And then I remember we would rehearse in the afternoon, break for dinner, and then come back and do the show, 2 shows. Okay, so we're rehearsing in the afternoon. One of my favorite friend in the company, we were just sitting in the back. We'd sit in the back of the theater and watch and mock the work that was being done on stage for the night. Like if you were working on your scene with a girl, you'd be up on stage and with the director and do and improvise. And we'd sit in the back saying, "This shit, man, this fucking." We would just sit back there and trash anything that wasn't me or him. Okay, I'm going up there. Fuck you. Go up there. So I said to him, Hamilton Camp, who was something in Camp. He was a folk singer, famous folk singer with his buddy, somebody in Camp, folk singers. Anyway, but he was funny, man, and a great actor. So I said, let's go outside. I can't take this anymore. So we go outside. Now I don't know, but we were working late because it was, the box office opened at 7 o'clock or maybe 6:30, and we were still rehearsing. And I just wanted a break. I just wanted some air. So I said, Hamilton, let's go. So we went outside. The box office had just opened. It was Saturday. And we go outside, and there's a line around the block.
Wow.
Not to the corner, but the end of the line was right here. And the box office was right here, and the line went that way.
Wow.
Yeah. So I immediately freaked out. And I ran across the street just to see, the big picture. And you see line going this way and then a line coming around this way. Wow. And I ran back inside, and the only person not on the stage was Hamilton. So I said, "You gotta see this, man." And I pulled him out and we ran. He said, "Come across the street." We ran across the street and he looks like this. And I said, no, come across the street. We went across. And he goes, "Holy shit, man. It's the lines around the block." And I said, "Yeah, let's walk it." So we walked all the way around saying hello to all the people. Hi. We're in the show. We'll look around, boom, back. This is amazing. So we ran back inside and said, "Hey, man, we got a line around the block." Wow, man. Whoa. So yeah, that was the start of the committee, and I was there for 10 years.
So how did you get found? How did you get found from there?
Laverne and Shirley, Penny Marshall.
Sure.
Well, Hollywood was down the road, and we were in San Francisco. And in those days, PSA Airlines had a round trip ticket for $35.
Right.
Wow, man. So the famous improv group was Second City, and everybody in Hollywood knew that. So it was too expensive to fly there and back. That's like a weekend. So, but for $35, you could fly up. The hotels were cheaper then in San Francisco. Fly up, you see a show, you see the first show and fly back that night, sleep in your own bed, or you fly up, with your girlfriend, your wife, your kids, whatever. You see the show, that's why you were there. And then you see San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge, and then you go back the next day. So it was like an outing. But the irony of it all was that if we in the committee in this hit show that the heavy hitters were flying up to see, you know, for a night on a weekend, that if we flew down there, the 7 people, well, by now it was 5. 5 people would fly down there to audition or go try to get an agent or a manager. We couldn't get in. We couldn't be insulted. We couldn't be kicked out. But the heavy hitters would come up there and see us, and we would get called, say, "Hey, we saw you last night. Come on down. We got a thing, a sitcom, for 5 days." So that was the weirdness of it. We couldn't get in, but if they flew up, they saw us. So Penny Marshall of Laverne and Shirley, I get a call, you know, "Hey, Penny Marshall, this is the first time I got a job like that. Penny Marshall saw you, wants to, they're doing a theme episode on, they're going to the prom, the high school prom. Penny Marshall is looking for a dance partner. She said the tall guy in the committee, the physical comedian, Larry Hankin, you. She wants to dance with you." And so that's how I got an agent. That's how I became an actor. Penny Marshall called me. I did that. It was really great. I got an agent through that. The weird thing about that was my first job was where I got an agent. I think I flew down one other time to do a 1-day thing. Was we were rehearsing. She wanted to dance with me because I was a physical comedian. So she is a clown. Penny Marshall is I mean, she knows how to take pratfalls, and she knows all this clown shtick. She's an amazingly funny comic person. I mean, she knows comedy inside and out. So we were dancing, and she said, "Well, why don't you dip me and then drop me?" And I was afraid to do that because, I mean, she's a star. I was a kind of awe of her. I also knew her. I mean, because she would, she knew other people that I knew. So we were kind of friendly, but she was a star. I didn't want to drop her. You know, I said, "Well, if you hurt yourself, man, I'll get fired." So so I said, "How about if I drop you near the couch? So I'll drop you so your head is, so I'll drop you on the couch. How about that?" And she said, "Well, okay, it's not as funny, but okay, I understand what you're saying." Okay, so we're rehearsing. I go, and I drop her on the couch. And she says, "But wait a minute. What if you drop me on the couch and then you fall on top of me? That would be funny." Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so I go, no, and I drop her on the couch, and then I fall on her, and I hear this voice, "All right, what's going on here?" And I turn around, and it's Gary Marshall.
Oh, great.
Producer of the show.
Great.
And I go, and I say, "Oh, well, we're rehearsing the dance." And that's what she says. "Oh, we're rehearsing for the prom thing." He says, "Yeah, but what's this touchy-feely business?" "What touchy-feely business? What are you laying on the couch for? What is that all about?" That's touchy-feely. And Laverne says, Penny Marshall says, "No, we're rehearsing the dance. It's the prom thing." And he says, "All right, rehearse all you want, but no touchy-feely. I don't want any more touchy-feely thing." And I'm going, "What?" And I look at Penny Marshall, you know, she's standing next to me. And I look at her like, "What the fuck is going on, man?" And she just goes, "He's my brother." My older brother. So he says, "I don't want any more of that." He goes, okay. She says, you know, "Okay, Gary, okay. More touchy-feely." She shrugs. She goes, "My brother." So let's cut that out. Right.
So you were able to use some of that footage to get you some more work, I take it.
Well, I mean, it was just so bizarre. I can't escape being booed off the stage.
Yeah.
Basically. I can't do anything right. So I went back, you know, but I thought, okay, the money is great down here. So I didn't want to go back out yet, you know, as a stand-up. I didn't want to quit. So I just went back to San Francisco, and I would just, you know, no touchy-feely. I would just mind my manners and no critical thinking. No critical thinking in LA County. That's it. Okay, so I was very good boy, just like. Hollywood, let me tell you something. Hollywood is like your parents. Just know that. The entire city is like your parents. If you get a job in show business, it's like being back home, living at home. You can't curse, you can't swear, you can't do drugs, you can't talk dirty. You got to mind yourself, you got to hit your lights, you got to be on time. I mean, it's just bullshit. Hollywood is bullshit. If you want to be an actor, think about something else. Okay, enough said. So I went back to San Francisco and I just started doing my stuff again, my critical thinking shtick again. But now I was a little famous because I'd been on television. So it kind of worked out for me. And I really didn't care. And then I started to get my manager, my agents. Oh, I got rid of, I didn't get rid of, but my manager, Woody's manager, said, okay, you know, we don't do acting. So you're on your own now. But I had an agent. And I said, well, I have an agent. He said, no, that's good. That's great. That's what you need down there is an agent. We're into, you know, nightclubs and stuff like that. So great, you know, good luck and stay in touch. Let us know how you're doing. So it was really cool. And so and the money kept on getting bigger and bigger. So, you know, I put up with that shit, just like I put up with my parents, you know.
So what kind of shows came up for you after that?
Well, to my agent's credit and to Hollywood's credit, I guess, they booked me, even if it was a very small part. And I was with them for, well, between the two, I had two different agents, but between the two, I was with them for 10 years. I got out in 2011. I dropped everything. But so I had two agents. And here's the thing about them that was really great is they booked me, and I don't know how they knew this, but in 9 times out of 10, the shows that they booked, even if it was, you know, we need a tall guy. Okay, hey, Larry, you need a tall guy. Boom, down there. All the shows they booked me in, 90% of them were huge hits in 3 to 5 years.
Wow.
So now I get residuals from all the things that I've ever done when I started, because it's Friends, Laverne and Shirley, Breaking Bad,
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld. I mean, it just and things I don't even remember that I did unless you mention the name, and then oh yeah, I was in that. But all of them are on television. I am now. This is a fact that somebody told me, but it's true. I and thousands of other actors are never off television.
Wow.
24 hours a day.
Wow.
Never. Somewhere in Jakarta, there's a rerun of something I was on.
Wow.
I mean, it's really weird. Now, sometimes I get a residual, but it's like, you know, $4 or $43. But sometimes it's in the hundreds, you know. Sometimes I'll get $1,000 or whatever, because, you know, I've been in this business a long time. So the residuals start to get smaller and smaller, and then they hit a level.
I heard.
Where, you know, there's no smaller than this. So, but it's cool. So now, you know, I can do what I want now. So I'm working on some screenplays of my own and a sitcom. No, not a sitcom, an episodic for myself, you know, just to keep me busy, keep me, you know, keep the cops away from the door.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
So could we go back just a little bit? Because I know folks who are watching this are saying to themselves, I wonder what it was like working on the set of Friends. I wonder what it was like working on the set of Seinfeld. Were they friendly? Did they interact? How did that feel? Or tell me about it.
Well, you picked Friends. That's probably the worst one. Wow, man. They're having a Friends reunion in 2 months. A TV Friends reunion.
Wow.
So I can't badmouth them too much. I'd like to be on that show.
Fine, that's okay. Let's talk about some other shows.
All right. So, but they're all the same. I'll give you a general thing about. They really are all the same. Because of the regulars and the hires, you know, the one-offs, the weeks or one day. Because people come in, you know, you're a new guy, you're doing it for this show, you know, they know one another for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, man.
Yeah.
So they huddle up. That's what I call it. They huddle up. You know, cut, they huddle up. They talk to themselves, or they talk to the director, or they talk to the cameraman. I mean, everybody there knows one another for 2, 3, 4 years, man. The same people. So you come in, they don't even see you. You're part of the furniture, man. You know, they're talking to Gary, they're talking to Hal, they're talking to Joe, they're talking to Carolyn, they're talking to, you know, Jeremiah, whatever. And so they just, so you have to insert yourself. If you want to be friendly, and I'm not friendly, you know, I'm shy, or I'm diffident. I don't know. It's very hard for me to break in, you know. I'm there to do it my best. You know, I'm trying to remember my lines. I also have dyslexia and ADHD since I was a kid. I was born with it. So I have to go very slowly when it comes to meeting people. I have to gather information. Should I fear this person? You know, I have a lot of paranoia because of those two things, because I get things wrong. Instructions, linear thinking just is not my bag.
Well, you passed this test beautifully. I'm thrilled with what I heard from you. I just want to, I've been asking this question. I've been getting a lot of good results from this. And again, I appreciate you spending time with us. First question is, what would you have done differently looking back on your career? And the second question is, what was a highlight? What was like a point where you just said, oh, wow, this is really cool?
Well, the answer to your first question is, what was my best, my
what would you do differently?
Oh, differently.
Yes.
I'd go to Detroit.
All right. And taking that job?
No, I do some stand-up on an open mic night in Detroit. And start all over again. I'd meet another guy named Carl. I don't know. You know, I mean, no, you can't keep me off a stage. I mean, but what would I do different? I don't. Let me see. I don't know. I think I'm in the right spot right now. Yeah, I don't know, because I would have done something else just as different from Detroit as show business is. I would have picked something. Well, you know, I wouldn't pick a doctor or a lawyer. That's an interesting question. What else would I have done? I would probably been a painter or a teacher or something like that.
Well, if you could have changed something within your career, not, you know, not choose a different career, but if you could have, maybe one time you said no and you should have said yes, or one time you said yes and you should have said no, you know, if nothing comes to you, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Okay, cool.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, it is to yourself.
I'm going to exchange the first one. You never worked with your writer friend with all his screenplays?
Oh, he wrote a screenplay and he wrote me in, and it was a big part, and the guy who got the part is a major star now. But I turned it down. I didn't want to do it. Oh,
okay.
I just didn't want to do it. I mean, I didn't want to do it for a reason. I didn't like the part. I didn't think it would show off anything that I would do. It was called Caveman. You ever hear that movie? It's a famous movie.
Yeah, I think I've heard.
Not that famous. You've heard of it.
But,
yeah. It was about being a caveman, and I don't know, 2000 BC or whatever. But it was caveman, and it was about cavemen and women and dinosaurs, and it was very jokey. It was slapstick. It was very, very funny, very good movie. Everybody did well. He had a lot of stars in it, who before they became stars. But I just turned it down. And then he got Jaws right after that, or maybe that was before or after. I don't know. But I never. I'm very picky about what I do because of dyslexia and ADHD. Because there's certain things I can't memorize.
Right.
I can memorize. I've never not been able to memorize things, but the work involved in me getting it into my head so that I can just say it like a character takes days because of my dyslexia. Linear thinking is not my bag. I mean, I'm serious.
Right.
So that I would turn down parts because it was just too big. It was just too much to learn.
Right.
In the amount of time before they started to shoot.
So I wonder about that. I wonder about that myself because I don't think I have good memory. And if I ever became an actor, could I do all that memorizing?
Well, no, you have to have a facility for it. I mean, because I've studied it, because I'm affected by it. And the actors who can, just rattle off monologues, and they have a proclivity for it. They are born to memorize shit. Right. It's something you're given. It's not something you learn. You learn how to use it, but over the years, my dyslexia started getting in the way. In the beginning, I could memorize short things because you're a beginner. They only give you short things, so it never bothered me. I just knew I had dyslexia, and it would show up in my personal life, but not in professional. Until the parts started getting big, and then I was saying, "Geez, it's really hard for me to learn this." And they started getting bigger and bigger, and then finally I got one. And I said, because I have instructions, it's that Larry Hankin has to get the script sooner than everybody else, or as soon as the first person gets it, I have to get it. So that's a given now.
Okay.
But they went along with it, and it never bothered me. I would get it, but then I would get a thing where say you have to learn this by then, and I go, no way, thank you, bye. But it also gave you a little chutzpah, to turn down something. One of the great things my agent once told me is, he said, I got this part for you. It was no audition. I got an audition for you. I said, what is it? He said, well, it's a blah, 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 blah. I said, oh man, I don't know. He says, well, then you turn it down. I go, oh, turn it down. See, I thought if you turned down a part for an audition, that you would never work again in this town.
Yeah.
I don't know where I got that idea from, but it's just naivete. I thought if I turned down a part, they'll never ask me out again. It was like a date or something. So I said, I don't know. He said, well, turn it down. I said, well, wow, man, what'll happen if I turn it down? He said, nothing. What do you mean? What are you talking about? I mean, he thought I was nuts. What are you talking about? You just turn it down. So I've never turned down any part, which is why I was always getting a lot of these parts. He said, well, Larry, turn it down. It'll make you feel good. Yeah, you have to have a no, Larry. I mean, he literally was talking to me like an uncle, Larry, you gotta have a no. You can't just keep saying yes all the time. It'll make you feel good. Try it. And I was really afraid.
And they respect you more when you're out there when you say no. It's like, oh,
of course, man. Yeah, but who knew? Not me, not then.
Know. Crazy.
So
crazy.
I turned it down, and he says, okay, I'm going to turn it down, and click, and I hung up the phone, and I had flop sweat for about 3 seconds. Oh God, what did I do? But then I felt really great. And from then on, I had a no. It was fantastic. So now I do no a lot unless it's a yes. That's pretty much no unless it's a yes.
So did you have like an ultimate where you said, wow, this is really cool?
Breaking Bad. Are you kidding? Breaking Bad and John Huston, Annie. Those are the two things. John Huston and Breaking Bad just blew my mind. I just wanted to do the audition. It was good enough. If I could get an audition in front of John Huston for when he directed Annie, that would be the top of my life. I didn't have to get the job. I would still brag to this day. I got the job. I was a dog catcher. And he was magnificent. It was worth every penny. No. It was worth all the waiting and the blah, 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 and the bullshit. He was a magnificent man.
Tell me about that show, because I don't know anything about it. And I'm going to watch it now. I'm going to look for it.
Breaking Bad?
Tell me about Breaking Bad.
You never watched Breaking Bad? Oh, this interview is over. I'm sorry. Bye. I'm sorry. That's crazy.
Tell me tell me about the show.
Wait a minute.
Tell me about the show.
That's impossible. There's nobody. You are so unique. I would say don't watch it. You are a one in a million. That's crazy, man. Well, tell me about it. Well, it was just such a unique show, a groundbreaking show. That's all. I mean, I watched it. And the only two shows I've ever been hooked on where I had to go watch it was Breaking Bad and Mary Hartman. I don't know if you're old enough to know that show. Sure. Mary Hartman. I would leave parties to go watch Mary Hartman. Same thing with Breaking Bad. Wherever I was, if there wasn't a TV set, I'm sorry, I'm going. Bye. And he was just, Vince Gilligan is a great man. He's a great director. His movie didn't do too well, but he's not a movie director. He's a TV director, and that taught me a lesson. There is a difference. And I thought his direction of the movie was great. And his direction of me was great. And his writing is great. But the audience knows the difference, and I don't know what that is. I watched the movie. I thought it was not a great movie, but it was certainly a really good movie that if it was in a movie theater, I would have gone to see it.
What was the name of the movie?
El Camino, the Breaking Bad movie. That's the whole title. But it was great because his character, first of all, his writing is amazing. And it just goes in like butter, it goes in. That's the thing with Shakespeare. You would think Shakespeare is hard to memorize. It is hard, but it's not as hard as you think. I mean, it's another language. You know, the rhythms and the words are just another language. But still, you know, it's English. But you have to learn those words and the pronunciation of those words and the rhythm of the words and the meaning. But it's not as difficult as you might think. The same thing with long speeches. If the writing is good, it goes in. Even though I have dyslexia and it's very hard, I would go up a lot on Breaking Bad, on the movie. And wait a minute, was it the movie? No, I went up one or two times. I remember going up to the director. I hardly ever forget my lines. I went up to the director because I was and acting with Bryan Cranston. He's a magnificent actor to be acting with. Never mind watching the character. No, to be acting with him. All the actors, all the great actors. You know who's a great actor who you don't think is a great actor? Clint Eastwood is amazing, man. That's not him on the screen. When you're watching, well, that's just Clint. He's just doing himself. Well, he's not acting. Yes, he is. He's amazing. And here's what they all do. This is the secret. If you want to be a star actor, here's how it works. What they do is they ride on your energy. It's amazing. It's like, you know how seals surf in a wave?
Yeah.
That's what they do. They're seals and you're the wave. They're not doing anything. They're just going with the flow.
Wow.
And that's what they do. That's the secret. They don't try. They just be and go. I would go, the image that I had of acting with Clint Eastwood was Clint would go, this is not said or anything. It's just there. It's just like, okay, take your best shot, Larry. Go ahead. Give me some acting. Go ahead. And I'd be Charlie Buttsing my way. And he would they're like corks. They just go, blah, 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 blah. And you go, blah, 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 blah. And they float on your energy. You give me it, give me more. I was amazed. You know, I would just, and he would just go, And the same thing with Bryan. They bring their own stuff That's a given. Okay. You know, that's not just my energy. But how they remain the stars in the scene, it's the same thing with me. I noticed that I learned fast that way. I mean, I absorb it. It's being able to apply it. But that in a scene, generally, viewers who don't know anything about the scene or anything that's going on, they'll remember me. They'll go, "Oh yeah, you were the guy in the blah blah blah," and I go, "I want to say, but I don't ever." I say, "How did you watch? Why were you watching me? I was just in the scene. The scene was about her." But it's just there's something in what I was given. Maybe I'm just like you're given memorization. You just are given it. You can memorize. I watched something last night where this actor memorized 2 full pages of a monologue in one take. He I think it was 3 pages. It was just him for about 10 minutes. I don't know. He was just talking. Brilliant. But I mean, that kind of memorization he had to be born with. You cannot learn. I don't care how many acting schools you go to. So there's certain things you're born with. And I think a lot of stars, like a lot of stars from the black and white days in the beginning and in silent movies, this is weird, but it's true. And you can check up on it. All the stars in the silent movies, 90% of them had big heads.
Whoa.
Why? For close-ups. So the camera didn't have to come that close to get a close-up. Their heads were big.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. You go through it. They're short with big heads. Now today, no. But back then, yeah. So, I mean, there's certain things that are really endemic to making movies that are like secret, like the ability to memorize, to have a big head, to float like a cork. I mean, there's certain things they don't teach you. You just have to be there and act with somebody, and it's holy shit, this is what this guy's doing or able to do. Yeah, it's just like it's like being a doctor or a lawyer or an Indian chief. It's just it has its thing, man.
You know, I could listen to your stories forever, but I'm going to thank you now. This has been great. I'm so thrilled that you accepted my invitation to do the show, and I couldn't have been happier with the results. I want to thank you again. I learned so much about you and your career, and perhaps why you're not a bigger household word is you've described possibly why.
Oh, I'm huge in India. friends.
Larry Hankin. God bless you. Thank you again for doing the show. Please. You're watching the 80s golden age of comedy, and this time we looked at 60s and we looked at some 70s with Larry Hankin.
Thank you, Mr. Starr.
Yes, thank you very much. Bye-bye, everybody.